I did implore him to cease not, yet 'twas not to my lord, and now his closest companion doth regard me with altered eyes. Wouldst thou? It commenced in silence, devoid of kiss or caress, nor utterance of any kind. It commenced as many perilous affairs do, with a gaze lingered upon for a heartbeat too protracted. Caleb hath ever been present. He was the dearest companion of Ethan, a soul who discerned the moment for mirth, the hour to fade into the shadows, and the time to refill a chalice unbidden. He was secure, steadfast, and nearly unseen, until he ceased to be. Upon that eve, the atmosphere did thrum with a charge most ineffable, a sensation beyond my ken. Perchance it was the wine, or mayhap the flickering candle I did ignite after Ethan ascended the stairs, burdened with a headache and a feeble pretext. Perchance it was I, alone within mine own abode, wed in title, yet famished in every other regard. Forsooth, I hath toiled through the years, diminishing mine own self, growing gentler, more subdued, and less discernible. Ethan didst favour me thus. A visage fair, adorned upon his arm, did laugh at fitting times and sought not for excess. Yet Caleb hath ever regarded me with a gaze most peculiar, and on that fateful eve, I found mine own eyes drawn back to him, unable to turn away. He sat before me, ensconced in the gentle warmth of the living room's serene embrace. Upon him I did bestow another chalice of wine, and then for myself I did fill a vessel as well. We found ourselves in solitude, verily in solitude, not solely in the realm of the corporeal, but also in the depths of the heart and the essence of the soul, in a manner known solely to those two souls who have long endured the pangs of hunger in hushed despair. He did not break the stillness with trifling discourse. He did allow it to extend, permitting the unvoiced matters to ascend to the surface, akin to the vapors that dance upon heated glass. Mine garment did cling most closely to my limbs. After mine ablutions, I remained unaltered. Mine intentions were not set upon the company of others. Yet within me, a tender and perilous essence did elect to refrain from embracing that which might be deemed more fitting. His gaze didst flit downward but a moment, ere it returned to mine. "Thou dost ever bear the fragrance of vanilla," quoth he. His voice did softly whisper, low and gentle as the evening breeze. A declaration, devoid of flattery. I did swallow. Mine throat did feel parched. In softest tones, I did confess my fondness for comfort. He did not bestow upon us a smile. "Text thou dost desire to be held in memory's embrace." The hush didst thicken, heavy as the night. Mine fingers did clasp the chalice of wine with fervent grip. "Dost thou believe me to be but a fleeting shadow, easily cast aside from memory's embrace?" "Nay," quoth he. "Methinks thou hast been striving to cast aside thine own essence." I averted mine gaze. He beheld too much. Ever hath mine wedding band adorned my finger with unwavering loyalty. Yet there were days, nay, weeks, when I did forget its very presence. Lo, today mine eyes did chance upon it once more. O gold, thou art polished and still dost shine, a token of vows yet unbroken. Though the giver hath long since cast it from his mind, I didst preserve it still. This ring I don, I uttered with a gentle sigh, yet solitude clings to me still. "Thou art not unseen," quoth Caleb. "Thy voice, akin to velvet, doth caress the flames." Not unto me, I did meet his gaze. The tension in the chamber did bend and pulse no more. Something we might choose to disregard. Mine heart did thump, not with remorse, but with the dread clarity of being wholly beheld. Methinks I did inhale. Alas, I have lost the memory of such a state. To experience the sweet embrace of desire. He did lean in, not to bestow a kiss upon my lips, but merely to draw near, his breath a whisper that danced upon my cheek. I do believe he did softly murmur, "Dost thou wish to recall?" The ether that doth lie betwixt us did rend asunder. He did not extend his hand towards me. He did not lay a finger upon it. He did but lean in closer still. His voice, a mere breath upon my ear, or perchance, mine own. Lo, it was but a single word. Yet it did unravel a matter profound within my breast. Something entombed beneath the weight of years, where it hath been endured rather than cherished. I did not withdraw mine hand. I ought to have done so. Instead, I permit that word to resound within my very soul. Wend like wisps of smoke through mine spine, kindling warmth in every hollow where Ethan's touch hath left the chill of absence. And yet, though the band of matrimony still adorned my finger, mine form did incline forth, mine breath didst seize upon the very moment, and mine own spirit did softly reply, To be, I yearn. Lo, I scarcely recall the ascent of yonder stairs on that fateful eve. Ethan had succumbed to slumber's gentle embrace. One limb doth dangle o'er the precipice of the bed's embrace. His lips did part, emitting a gentle snore. An epistle, but half-formed, doth still emit its gentle light upon his tablet's face. He moved not a muscle upon my entrance. He did ne'er such a thing. Upon the precipice of the bed I did stand, gown yet fastened at the girdle. The fragrance of wine and the essence of candle wax doth linger upon my skin. Caleb's voice doth still resound within the chambers of my mind. Not a request of import, not so much as a supplication, a vow most sacred. With utmost care, I ascended into my chamber of rest, moving with deliberate slowness. Mine form did bend toward Ethan, as if guided by the hand of memory's tender touch. Yet I laid not mine hands upon him. Alas, I found myself unable. I did doubt whether he would even take heed. And if he did, I was uncertain whether his heart would take heed. Upon that eve, I found myself in slumber's embrace. In a corridor I found myself, bereft of portals to the world beyond. There be no windows. Lo, but silence reigns supreme. And then mine ears did catch the sound, the creak of footsteps trailing close behind. Caleb's voice, gentle and unwavering, did summon my name as though it were his own to claim. Upon my turning, I beheld his hand extended, yearning for mine. With a sudden breath, I did awaken. Mine hand did rest upon my breast. Mine ring did press upon my collarbone, as though it sought to still my heart's swift cadence. In slumber's embrace I lingered, till Ethan took his leave for toil, our words scarce exchanged, his lips upon my cheek bestowed as though to a sister or a mere stranger. Then I descended the stairs, and took my place upon the very couch where Caleb had breathed forth the words my husband had left unspoken for many a year. It was not within my design to send him a missive. Yet I did. Art thou at leisure, good sir or madam? Silence doth reign. For hours, the silence did gnaw at my very soul, as though I had conjured the entire affair from the depths of mine own imagination. Then, just after the hour of 3:30 past the meridian, lo, the response did arrive. Caleb, thou art ever present in the chambers of my mind. Upon the glowing visage of the screen I gazed, a lengthy spell, then I myself. The portals to the rear stand unbarred. The hours did creep with sluggish pace. Each sound didst cause my breath to falter. Each creak of the floorboard above didst cause my form to coil with both dread and delight. Once I did transform, first into a visage fair, then into a guise most base. A gentle cream slip, like a whisper of silk upon the skin. Without the garment that doth bind, she roams free. Without the adornment of undergarments. At the hour of 5:16 past the meridian, the portal did unfasten, and all was transformed. He did enter as though the very air did part to grant him passage. He spake not a greeting, but lingered in the portal, the gentle murmur of twilight enveloping us both. He cast his gaze upon me. Not at the garment, I prithee. Not upon my tresses. Upon me. Thou didst unbar the portal, quoth he. Alas, I found myself in ignorance of the means to seal it shut. With measured steps, he traversed the chamber, each movement deliberate and unhurried. Each step didst feel akin to a solemn confession. And lo, he stood before me, his fingers lightly caressing the edge of my garment, his gaze steadfast upon mine. I desire not to be thy hidden truth, he did whisper. Then bid me recall the sweet embrace of being possessed. And so he did. With a single graceful motion, he did lift me, my limbs entwining round his waist as though they had ever been destined to find their place there. Lo, I did feel the weighty press of his form upon mine, and my breath, a soft gasp, was met with a groan that did curl within mine ear. He bore me to the wall, not to a couch of comfort, nor to a haven of gentleness, but to a firm and steadfast place, for we had no tenderness remaining to feign. His hands did wander o'er my thighs, entwined in my tresses, clasping my waist as though to prevent my drifting into the ether. He pressed his lips to mine as one who hath endured a long torment, at last resolved to cast aside his weary burden. With his teeth he did draw the strap of my slip down. Mine own form did quake as he did enter within, with a pace both languid and profound, whilst mine fingers clasped his back with fervour. Each thrust was tempered, deliberate, as though he sought to make me aware of every span of that which I had long been deprived. And so I did. "Oh, heavens!" I did exclaim. Nay, he did whisper, his brow pressed to mine. "Proclaim unto me mine appellation. Pray, let it be known unto thee, Caleb, who it is that doth dwell in my thoughts." And he did tremble, as though the very utterance from my lips did rend asunder a hidden chamber within his soul. Upon my finger the ring did catch the light, whilst my hand, entwined in his tresses, stirred within me a tempest of emotion, nearly bringing forth tears from the stark contrast of our fates. "Thou still dost don it," he spake, his breath laboured. Why did I bestow upon him a kiss, long and deep, a tender kneading of souls, for I yearned to etch in memory the instant I did release my grasp. We pressed on, relentless, until mine own legs did tremble with fatigue. His voice, a raspy echo, didst the wall bear witness to all that we had not the courage to confess. When he did lay me upon the ground, I was nigh to falter and fall. He did seize me, enfolding me in trembling embrace. And for the first time in many a year, a soul did embrace me as though I were of such worth that the burden of remaining was but a light feather upon the heart. For 3 days hence, I beheld him not, 3 days filled with courteous discourse with Ethan o'er the evening repast, 3 nights spent beside a man whose form scarcely inclined towards mine, 3 morns gazing into the looking-glass, seeking traces of the self I once was, yet discovering naught but the lady I had transformed into the instant Caleb's hand did meet my flesh against that wall. He hath not sent a missive. Neither had I, yet the stillness that lay betwixt us was not mere void. It was fraught with tension, like a tempestuous mountain, coiled in tension that doth plead for liberation. At last, it did arrive upon a tempestuous afternoon, where the heavens wept. Ethan did depart with haste, murmuring of a gathering for the sport of kings, a pretense that seemed to have lost its charm in the telling. As the portal of the garage did shut with a finality most profound, I did seize my device of communication. I did not inscribe a single word. Lo, I have dispatched but a solitary mark, a period, unto the void. In but a moment's time, Caleb, where dost thou wander? Mine own chamber. He did not rap upon the door. The rain did gently tap upon the panes, in harmony with the cadence of my very heart. The abode seemed more hushed than its wont. Perchance I did but lend mine ear anew to the whispers of footfalls, the sighs of breath, and the fateful decisions wrought in the depths of shadow. As the portal did part, I found myself in waiting already. Lo! He stood within the threshold, drenched anew by the weeping skies, his locks cascading with droplets, whilst his dark attire clung to his form as though it were fashioned by my own hands. Neither of us did stir. Then he did advance, and softly, with great reverence, did close the door behind him. As though the deed were hallowed, his gaze did traverse my form. Lo, I remained clad in the robe. Last Christmas, a gift from Ethan did grace my possession. Silken threads of pale grey, so tender to the touch, they seemed to defy the very essence of cloth. Didst thou don this attire for him? Caleb did inquire, his voice but a whisper. Aye. And now I yearned to shatter the recollection. That was all he required. He traversed the chamber in 3 mighty strides, and drew me to him with a groan so profound it unfastened something within me. His hands did glide beneath the robe, fingers brushing my ribs, ascending to the gentle arch of my back, cradling me as though I might dissolve into the ether. His kiss commenced with a languid grace, a questing taste, then grew profound, fervent. He did lower me unto the bed. As a man doth lay a cherished offering upon the hallowed altar, so did his form envelop mine, a warm deluge turned cool, quaking with the weight of restraint. The linens did murmur softly beneath our entwined selves. My wedding band fell upon the mattress with a gentle, treacherous thump. "Thou hast yet to remove it," he whispered softly. "Nay," I replied. "Yet with each caress thou dost bestow, its worth doth diminish." With a measured breath, He pressed forth, his gaze ensnared by mine, whilst his hands did gently encircle my thighs, drawing them round his waist. A gasp escaped my lips, as I bit down in fervor. Yet he remained still, unmoving. Not yet. There he lingered, deep within my soul, his brow pressed gently to mine, allowing the moment to throb with longing. "Dost thou comprehend the effect it hath upon me?" He did whisper. "In knowing that I am the spark that doth awaken thy very soul, I did emit a sound most primal, most true, and did arch my form towards him." Thus came his reply. He commenced his motion. Not as the maiden voyage swift, with haste yet imbued with intent, with reverence. The bed did groan in gradual acquiescence, the headboard drumming a steady cadence upon the wall, akin to a second pulse. His lips traversed my shoulder, my throat, my jaw. "Thou art no longer hers," he did declare amidst fervent kisses. Not his, indeed. "None doth possess me, for I am thine." I did draw breath. His chest doth heave, fingers sinking deep into his back. For this moment alone. Nay, not merely for this fleeting moment. He didst growl, and his pace did quicken, his hips snapping with greater fervor, more desperate in their plea. "Speak it once more. I am thine. Raise thy voice. I am thine." And when the sweet release did come, fervent and fierce, body bending, spirit tearing, it was not my Lord's name that did escape my lips. It was Caleb's, time and time again. When the waves did recede, and I lay trembling beneath him, his head upon my breastbone, my ring casting a muted gleam upon his skin, I sensed a change had taken root. We did no longer dwell in shadows, but rather we did challenge the world to seize us. For hours hence, I could still sense his presence lingering in the air. Not solely within my being, though that it be true. A subtle throb did linger, twixt my thighs, the languid beat beneath my flesh. The manner in which my sinews recalled the cadence of his loins, a secret known solely to us. Nay, it was more than mere essence, it was the fragrance he imparted upon my very flesh. Not the artifice of cologne, yet him, brine and tempest and the essence of life, and the lingering mark of vintage where his lips did grace my breast. In yonder moment, I found myself before the glass, lingering long in contemplation, clad still in the tattered robe he had loosed, as though unveiling some cherished secret. My visage appeared transformed, a stranger to mine own eyes. Mine lips, swollen as the morn's bloom, mine eyes weary from the night's toil. My thighs bear the imprints of tender caresses. Yet above all, I appeared most vibrantly alive. To scrub it off, I had no desire, nor to cloak my visage in shadows. Yet, alas, necessity compelled me so. Ethan's return was nigh, a mere 30 minutes hence. I did hasten to cleanse myself, though the warmth did but evoke the memory of Caleb's form, pressed against mine with fervent intimacy. His voice, low and trembling, didst whisper, "Thou dost not belong to him any longer." At the mere recollection, my knees did nearly falter. I adorned myself with care, in modesty, and applied the fragrant powder of deodorant. A waft of fragrant blooms didst not resemble the warmth that Caleb hath departed. By the hour Ethan returned, I found myself in the kitchen, feigning the guise of normalcy. He pressed a kiss upon my cheek, yet his lips did not tarry. In many a year they had not. "How fared thy day?" quoth he. "Uneventful," I did feign. We did sit, face to face, as if we were mere colleagues in a hushed chamber, the sound of silverware clinking echoing in the stillness. We feigned ignorance of the tempest that had upheaved my very foundation mere hours prior. In a fleeting moment, he did extend his hand towards mine, yet my fingers did recoil in instinctive trepidation. He appeared not to perceive the weight of the moment. Yet, when he took my hand and pressed his lips upon my knuckles, a surge of revulsion did rise within me. For Caleb had performed a like gesture, yet it had borne the essence of a solemn promise. Upon that eve, Ethan did succumb to slumber's gentle embrace with haste. I beheld him from the opposite side of our shared resting-place. His lips parted ever so slightly, whilst one hand lay curled in a languid fist upon his breast. Once did I believe this to be peace, yet now it appears but a void. Upon the nightstand, my phone did illuminate. A missive, "Dear Caleb, thy essence lingers still upon my tongue. I did press my lips with such fervour that the coppery taste of blood did grace my senses. Mine fingers did tremble as I did inscribe. I ne'er came close to uttering thy name before him. Caleb, verily, near to me. Thou art not a haven for me, Caleb. Nay, I am not. Yet I am thine. Upon the visage of the screen mine eyes did rest. My ring, a harbinger of fate, did capture the glint of the missive. A cruel jest, resplendent in its irony. And lo, another missive did arrive. Caleb, on the morrow, to thine abode. The instant he doth depart. He did arrive just past the hour of 10. This time I did not extend my salutation at the threshold. The portal I left unbarred. He discovered me in the kitchen, my feet unshod, clad in the same robe, freshly cleansed yet still his own. He spake not a word. Instead, he approached from behind, encircling my waist with his arms, and laid his visage against the gentle curve of my neck. I have missed thee, he whispered into my very flesh. In but a single day, I find myself yearning for thee, as though ages have passed since last our eyes did meet. I did reach forth, entwining my fingers in his tresses, leaning into him as if he were the very force that binds the stars. In silence, we did traverse to the chamber of living, our hearts speaking where words dared not tread. And there upon the very couch where Ethan did peruse the morn's tidings, Caleb did draw me down beneath him, as though I were a want too fervent to resist. With a deliberate grace, he unfastened the robe, each motion steeped in reverence. His lips traced the path of the parting silk, from jaw to neck, and thence to shoulder, a tender pilgrimage. The silken veil did part, as did I. Unveil thyself for me, he murmured, as he did tenderly part my limbs. Without shame, without regret, I did comply. He didst lower himself, twixt them as a supplicant in fervent prayer. His lips didst offer adoration unto me, till I forgot the very essence of daylight, till I didst rend the cushions, breath faltering, heart shattering. Pray tell, he murmured, his voice both rugged and divine. Pray, reveal to me who doth stir such feelings within thee. 'Tis thou, I did exclaim in breathless wonder. Only thee. Upon my finger the ring did slip, now loose and unobserved, yet his grasp remained steadfast. In the aftermath, we did not hasten. He lingered, embraced me, and with gentle hand, swept my hair aside as my breath found its peace. Thou dost bear my scent once more, quoth he, a grin dancing upon his voice. I yearn to carry thine essence for all eternity, and verily, I speak true, though the world may blaze in chaos about us. Thus did Caleb begin to perceive the subtleties of existence. Lo, how my hands did quiver as I fastened my blouse, after his gentle touch had graced my skin, the tremor in my voice when I uttered the name of Ethan. Observe how my ring now doth slide more freely upon my finger, not due to a loss of flesh, but for my form hath shed the deceit it once represented. On a fateful afternoon, after Ethan departed for yet another engagement, Caleb did meet me at the threshold of the staircase. Upon my descent, clad solely in a garment vast and loose, my limbs bare and aglow with eager fervor. There he lingered at the foot of the stair, his gaze tracing each delicate curve of my form. Thou art like temptation incarnate, quoth he, his voice laden with desire. Thou dost appear as the answer I ought to dread. He seized my wrist as I descended the final stair, drawing me forth against his breast. His fingers did once more seek the ring. This doth not belong here, he murmured softly. With a gentle tug, I withdrew my hand. Why not? I queried, my voice trembling. Forsooth, if it be removed now, I shall forget the reason I ever adorned myself with it. In stillness we did linger, inhaling the essence of one another. Then he pressed his lips to mine, not as a suitor, but as one famished for the touch of affection. His hands did wander neath my garment, raising it o'er my head until I stood before him, wholly unveiled, my heart a-thump like a drum on the verge of shattering. He bore me to the table of repast, the very one where Ethan and I did dine thrice each week. Feigning the bonds of wedlock, he did lay me upon the surface as though I were a sacrifice unworthy of his grasp, yet he found himself unable to resist. My spine did curve in longing, and my hands did stretch forth towards him. And when he didst enter me, I did cry out. Sharp, desperate, alive. His thrusts were deep, slow, and possessive. I desire thee to be most vocal this day, quoth he, his breath upon my neck. I long for his return, that he may perceive the transformation I have wrought upon thee. I did moan, utterly at his mercy. Speak it, he did implore, his fingers clasping my hips with fervor. I am thine, I did whisper once more. Thou art mine. He did stoop low, pressing his lips upon the very heart of my bosom, where my heart didst yearn to flee. None other shall ever behold this visage of thee. The table did groan beneath our fervent dance. Plates did shift, and silverware fell to the ground, yet we pressed on undeterred. I did entwine my limbs about him, drawing him closer, with fervor and haste. Stay thine hand not, I did implore. Pray, Caleb, cease not. Never, he did respond with fervor. Not until thou dost forget the sound of his name. And in that fleeting moment I came forth with a cry that shattered into a sob, not of shame but of liberation. And he followed, buried deep, trembling alongside me. In the aftermath, we lay entwined in a hush profound. Then I rose, casting mine eyes upon the ring, askew yet steadfast, and with gentle hand I restored it to its rightful perch. I loathe that it remains, quoth he. Lo, I detest that it once bore significance. Caleb did lean forth, taking my hand within his own, and pressed his lips to the base of my finger, just beneath the golden circlet, then did allow it to slip away of its own accord, whispering softly, It is already halfway lost. With great effort, I did swallow the lump that lodged within my throat. Fear doth grip me, and thou art likewise ensnared. Yet neither of us did stir, for the peril had entwined itself with our yearning, and as we delved deeper into one another, the ring began to feel like a falsehood, striving in vain to keep us apart. Upon the morn I parted from Ethan, the ring did slip away without a struggle, having just completed the cleansing of my hands. It glided upon my knuckle, fell into the porcelain basin, and there it lay, silent, golden, devoid of purpose. I gazed upon it, not from fear, but for it had ceased to bear the essence of my own. Neither did I weep, nor tremble, nor sense the tempestuous finality that oft accompanies such moments. Instead, a languid and peculiar tranquillity enveloped me, the sort that doth arise when one hath dwelt in falsehood for an age, and the falsehood at last doth lose its tongue. Ethan was absent from our abode, having ventured forth on a business pilgrimage to Seattle these past days. Thus spake he, and in a far-off, dispassionate corner of my thoughts, I pondered if he too did partake in secret trysts, if his quietude was but a veil for another's mirth. Yet such musings bore no weight, for I had long ceased to be his. And Caleb, dear Caleb, did ensure that I recalled the art of belonging to mine own self first. I gathered my belongings with care, yet with lightness of heart. Lo, a modest valise, containing but the necessities and a robe of pale grey hue. I found it hard to fold the very garment that Caleb had once unveiled with such veneration, the same that still bore a whisper of his scent, even after the cleansing. My device did vibrate, 'twas Caleb. Art thou certain I gazed upon the screen for but a fleeting moment, ere I didst type? I relinquished the ring. No response came forth. Only 3 dots, and then Caleb appeared. Thou art now mine. And for the first time, those words did not fill me with dread, for he spake them not to possess me as a mere object. Nay, he uttered them as a solemn pledge. Upon the stroke of midnight, I didst arrive at his humble abode. The city, a gentle symphony, did hum outside, taxis whirred, distant laughter danced upon the air, and a dog barked at the fleeting shadows. He did open the door ere I could rap upon it. He did not bestow a smile, but rather stepped aside with grace. I entered, laid my satchel down, and turned to face him. I know not who I shall become henceforth, I did whisper. He drew nigh. One of truth, quoth he. Lo, a soul unbound. I gazed upon him, the knave who had beheld my silent descent into despair for countless moons, the one who had laid me bare, not through violence, but with fervor, longing, and a sacred awe. I desire not to be a wife to any man henceforth, quoth I. He didst cup my visage. Thou art not. Thou art thyself. And then he pressed his lips to mine. Not as in times of yore. Not in haste. Not hidden, yet revealed with a languid grace. With hands that did not clutch, but rather embraced. with breath that did not seize but bestowed. He did unrobe me with tender care, one sleeve at a time, his lips lingering upon each newly revealed span of skin as though it were worthy of reverence. We did entwine our souls with the lights aglow. And lo, it did feel as though mine eyes were opened for the very first time. There were no groaning timbers, no frantic haste, but rather the hallowed cadence of flesh embracing flesh, the gentle whispers of breaths entwined amidst the tangled linens. The melody of his voice, as he did murmur, "I would have tarried an eternity for thee," and my mind did quiver as I responded, "Thou needn't have done so." In the hours that followed, as I reclined upon his breast, his fingers meandering in languid strokes along my spine, mine eyes did wander to my hand. Unclad now, yet not devoid of substance. "I know not what fate doth lie ahead," I spake. He pressed his lips upon my crown. "Then let us pen our tale," he murmured, "one breath at a time." Thus did I shut mine eyes, not to cast aside the past, but to embark anew upon this tale. Dost thou wish to learn how this narrative doth conclude? Pray, leave thy mark in the comments, that we may proceed to unveil part 2 for thine eager hearts. And do not forget to subscribe to the Love Deceit channel, that thou mayest receive the latest tidings of a true infidelity story upon our stage. Your word shall guide us in discerning thy desires, that we may forge our path towards thy contentment, for in thy joy lies our daily delight.